NFC North.
What?
The rap sheet and Tom Pelissero were on it. They go from Cool Joe to the coolest Joe.
Good news, Bengals fans. Joe is back at quarterback. I'm sorry, that's Joe Flacco, not Joe Burrow, but a fascinating twist nonetheless in Cincinnati.
On October 7th, 2025, we witnessed a head-scratching trade as the Cincinnati Bengals acquired 40-year-old quarterback Joe Flacco and a sixth-round pick from the division rival Cleveland Browns for a fifth-rounder. The Bengals are adding a veteran quarterback to the mix as they deal with the fallout of Joe Burrow's toe injury in Week 2. They have lost 3 straight games with backup Jake Browning under center and look completely clueless in figuring out where to go from here. As far as a franchise goes, the Bengals don't seem to know what they're doing. But what made them trade for Joe Flacco now? Why haven't they fixed the offensive line after all these years? And how did things fall apart so quickly for a team with one of the best quarterbacks in the league? Let's break it down. To understand where the Bengals go from here, we need to quickly look back at how they got here. Starting in 2020, when they drafted Joe Burrow first overall. The pick was a no-brainer. Burrow had just finished a historic college football season at LSU, winning both the Heisman Trophy and a national championship. Sadly, Joe Burrow's career in the NFL has been disappointing, and not even because of his own performance. As a rookie, he threw for 2,688 yards, 13 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions with a 65.3% completion rate. And he led the Bengals to the franchise's first playoff victory since 1990. In 2021, Burrow threw for 4,611 yards and 34 touchdowns, leading the Bengals to the Super Bowl. Even in 2024, Burrow had an astounding passer rating of 108.5 with 4,918 yards, 43 touchdowns, and 9 interceptions. The dude can straight up ball. But where Joe's career becomes disappointing is the injuries. He's missed significant time due to torn ligaments in his knee and wrist, and now will miss most, if not all, of 2025 with turf toe. That doesn't account for the dislocated pinky and other sprains that Burrow has played through. Joe's injuries are what give us a look at why the Bengals don't seem to know what they're doing. Joe Burrow is your golden boy franchise quarterback that doesn't get to consistently show his greatness. Why? Since 2016, the Bengals' offensive line has consistently ranked among the NFL's worst in pass protection and run blocking. Since 2020, Burrow has been sacked over 200 times and pressured even more. The Bengals' inability and/or unwillingness to adequately protect Burrow is a source of frustration well beyond the fan base, as executives, coaches, and media members who appreciate good quarterback play wonder what his numbers could be like with a better offensive line. If a better offensive line is a big part of solving the franchise's problems, why haven't they done it? The Cincinnati Bengals salary cap has been made top-heavy by recent mega contracts for Joe Burrow, wide receivers Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, and defensive end Trey Hendrickson. With their stars now locked in, the Bengals have become one of the most financially top-heavy teams in the league. This means less flexibility and cap space for building team depth, addressing other positions like the offensive line, or signing free agents. The contracts become a major burden, especially when there are injuries, like the one Burrow is dealing with now. To compensate for expensive veterans, the Bengals need to rely on drafting and developing cost-effective players to fill the roster. I'm in no way saying that Burrow, Chase, Higgins, and Hendrickson haven't earned those contracts, because they totally have. But what I'm saying is that Bengals leadership has put the franchise in a win-now situation without its most important player, with no money to spend on protecting him going forward. That brings us to today. Burrow is hurt because the offensive line can't block for him, the team can't win games with their backup quarterback, and their solution was to bring in Joe Flacco, who Cleveland benched for third-round rookie Dillon Gabriel. As the Browns' starting quarterback, Joe Flacco has a passer rating of 60.3 with 815 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions in 4 games this season. Not to mention that the guy is 40 years old and has the mobility of a dining table. Fortunately, neither team had to give up much for this trade. The Browns being able to dump Flacco and a 6th-rounder off for a 5th-round pick was a solid move, especially for a quarterback who likely wasn't going to be on the roster past this year. The Bengals are simply looking for quarterback play good enough to make the playoffs when Burrow may be able to return. Perhaps the Bengals feel Flacco's slinging the ball down the field style of play better suits Chase and Higgins. At the end of the day, all this may not matter much anyway. The offensive line still sucks, and imagining them trying to block Myles Garrett and TJ Watt for an immobile quarterback calls for more pessimism than optimism. If you're a Bengals fan, ask yourself this. What exactly is the front office building here? Is it a Super Bowl contender or just a one-man show that falls apart every time Joe Burrow isn't healthy? The Bengals had the perfect setup, a young, talented quarterback with dynamic receivers and a capable running back. And yet, year after year, they've refused to fix the one thing that matters most, keeping their quarterback upright. The most confusing part? It wasn't just that they traded for Flacco. It's that they had better options and still made this move. Russell Wilson, Jameis Winston, and Gardner Minshew could have brought more youth and athleticism than Flacco at this stage. Even Kirk Cousins would be a better choice, but that would be even more financial irresponsibility if the Bengals pursued him. But instead of exploring those options, the Bengals went with a 40-year-old statue who hasn't been a consistent starter in years. This isn't just a gamble, it's a sign of panic. And not only that, Flacco is expected to be the starter with just a few days to learn the playbook. And here's where things get worse. If the Bengals miss the playoffs this season, the window might start to close for Burrow, Chase, and Higgins to all be together for a Super Bowl run. And even with Burrow's return, there's no guarantee he stays healthy without help in front of him. The defense is also trending down, and it'll take more than next year's draft to fix it. So what's the plan? Are the Bengals trying to scrape into the playoffs with a quarterback ready to retire and a leaky line? Are they hoping Burrow can come back late in the season and play hero again? If so, that's not a strategy. That's wishful thinking. The Bengals don't just have a short-term issue. They have a long-term culture problem. They're reactive, not proactive. They wait until disaster strikes before making a move. And even then, it's all patchwork with no real vision. And that brings us back to the main point. The Bengals don't know what they're doing. It's not because they don't have talent. It's not because they don't care. It's because they lack direction. They have a superstar quarterback and have built a fragile team around him. Every time Burrow goes down, the entire house of cards falls apart. And instead of learning from their mistakes, they keep doing the same things over and over. So when you see the headline, the Bengals trade for Joe Flacco, understand that it's more than just a strange move. It's a symbol of everything wrong with the team right now. A front office that's lost, a roster built like a fantasy team, and a franchise that's somehow wasting the best years of one of the NFL's most gifted quarterbacks. If Cincinnati doesn't course correct soon, we may be looking at another version of Andrew Luck, an elite quarterback whose career gets cut short because his team never figured out how to support him. And that's a future no one wants to see. If you like this video and want more football, click the video showing on your screen now. Be sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more Second Place Vibes football. Thanks for watching.